All right. So our next movie that we are going to be discussing is Hypnotic. Hypnotic is the movie starring Ben Affleck. This is a mystery movie, so it helps not to say that much all about it because there are a lot of different twists and turns in it. This is a Robert Rodriguez directed film. So it all involves Ben Affleck, who plays a detective who's investigating the mystery of his missing daughter. While he's investigating the mystery of his missing daughter, he uncovers a lot of things, a secret shadow government that's kind of working against him. A lot of kind of evil agents. Can he, fight these different forces? In the midst of fighting these different forces, he learns about hypnotics, which are basically they're like telepaths. If you ever watch like X-Men or anything like that, they have the power to basically get in someone's mind, tell them what to do. Yeah. It involves in this movie a lot of like staring people down. You know what I mean? While everything around them kind of shakes and wobbles and everything like that. A lot of comparisons with this movie is you're going to see things like, I would say, I've seen people compare it to Inception, plus X-Men, plus Memento, plus every YA movie from the 2010s, or terrible YA movie from the 2010s. That's what I would kind of compare it to, like all of those different things jammed into one product here. So that's kind of the kind of basic setup here of the film. I would say Ben Affleck in this, he looks severely bored through a lot of it. Yeah. He just looks like he could just give a shit less about a lot of things. I came in kind of late to the movie, so I missed a good portion of the beginning of it. But yeah, it just seems like he could just honestly care less about what was going on. He honestly seems hungover. You know what I mean? Like he just didn't get his Dunkin' Donuts in the morning of filming or none of this. And he just kind of care less. Another person in this, you have Elisa Barga, who people seen in probably a variety of different things. She was in that the New Mutants movie. She was also in the Suicide Squad, the James Gunn Suicide Squad. As well. Again, same thing with kind of Gal Benicia Bernal, where he's kind of very big in his home country. Same thing with kind of her. She's very big in her home country, acting wise and everything like that, and various things she's in. She also plays a person assisting Ben Affleck's character and helping find his daughter. But like I said, it's a movie that's involving a lot of kind of twists and everything like that. And when it finally gets to all those things, I was like, who gives a shit? Yeah. Dusk, I want to kind of get your opinion on Hypnotic.
I'm a big fan of Robert Rodriguez. In every single movie, I always get the feeling that he still has that indie spirit that he started with all the way back when he made El Mariachi. If you ever heard the story of his production El Mariachi, it's honestly the most fascinating indie story you'll ever hear. I mean, the guy was just had the courage to just go out there. I'm going to take a camera, and I'm not going to get any permits, and I'm just going to go for it with like $20,000 and just make a movie. And it's probably one of my more favorite ones, just at how low budget and maybe succeeded by his sequel, Desperado, which just upped the camp and made it even more intense with Antonio Banderas. It's no matter what he makes these things with a spirit. And this backstory to this movie was a script written in 2002 that he said he really, really loved. And I know he has a lot of his family who worked on this movie. I know he has like almost a lot of his children work on this movie. One's like an editor. One did the special effects, that also worked on his Netflix We Are Heroes series. Another one does like the script writing, so it's like a whole family affair, and I really respect him as a filmmaker and as he's going. But this man, I hate to say this, but this really does feel like a low rent version of Inception plus Scanners. If you've ever seen David Fincher's famous the Fincher or Cronenberg's famous Scanners, it's a fantastic movie, but this one, it feels like it borrows a lot of stuff from a lot of different movies, and it tries to fit it into this movie. And I'm sorry, just the chemistry between Ben Affleck and Alicia Braga is just not there to carry it. And as you're learning more about this mystery, by the time you get to what's actually going on, you're like, what? But that doesn't. But that doesn't make any. Who cares? And I don't want to say that. I really don't. But it just doesn't have the budget for its ambition, and it only, in a weird way, its indie spirit almost cripples it a bit, because it just ends up being a lot of people in a room explaining the plot, and that's not very organic or energy cinema like he really did early on, where the camera would whip around, or he would do like low budget tricks to kind of get the camera going, like a Sam Raimi movie. And he just had all that energy, and this movie just, like Ben Affleck, is kind of bored and skipped out on the Dunkin' Donuts, and that was a bad idea.
Yeah. The reason I say it's kind of like, a YA movie, is because it has a lot of like, you're the one, you're special, you're chosen, you know what I mean? You're amazing. And that was a lot of, sometimes the themes in a lot of YA movies, when they do that with a lot of characters like Divergent, like, who was in that movie? What's her name? Shannon Woodley, I think was her name, right? Shailene Woodley.
You might be right.
Yeah, where it's just kind of like, you're special, you're a divergent, you can do all these different things. That's kind of similar here, where you have a character, you know what I mean, who is very special, can do all these different things, and they have to unlock their potential. The X-Men movie part is like them having these powers of like being a hypnotic, which like I said is basically telepathy. It's basically just you can make people see things that aren't there. You can command them to do different things. You have a villain character like William Fichtner, who Ben Affleck is chasing in the movie, who William Fichtner, people have seen. He was in a bunch of stuff. He was in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He was in that, like the Michael Bay one. He was in that. He's always a character actor who acts all the time. You've seen him a bunch of places. Jackie Earle Haley shows up here, who I haven't seen him in a minute. It's been a while since I've seen Jackie Earle Haley.
Yeah. And I like Jackie Earle Haley.
You like him in the movie, or you like him in general?
No, I like him in general.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he kind of shows up here. Like I said, they don't really have any much chemistry. Ben Affleck and Alicia Braga, I don't feel that at all. Like I said, the Memento part comes in with him trying to like, a little bit of more like trying to figure out this mystery, retrace his steps, right, everything like that. That's where that part comes in. The Inception part comes in. Like I said, they kind of like, with the whole mind control stuff, they're able to like bend these worlds a little bit, make people see things, which again, that's where kind of a lot of the Inception stuff, but they don't do it as well or as cool as something like Inception. And then a lot of the stuff they do of them using their powers, like I said, it looks goofy because it looks like them just standing there, you know what I mean? Like they have to, just standing there in place with their fists kind of closed, foot firmly on the ground, staring, like they have to ask their mom, can they use the bathroom? And everything like that, and the whole world kind of like wobbles around them as they do that, and it's just not cinematically interesting to look at. Them it kind of just looks kind of goofy. So yeah, I mean, with this movie, I think you wouldn't miss anything by not seeing it. It's actually, this is a movie that feels like if you didn't know this was directed by Robert Rodriguez, I wouldn't go like, oh yeah, Robert Rodriguez directed this, because it doesn't have any of his unique, feels like his flavor, his style, you know what I mean? Like if you're gonna have a Robert Rodriguez directed, like let him go, let him go wild, let him do what he does.
Let him go buck wild.
Yeah, because usually he varies between something like that's either like super kind of violent and goofy and campy, between something like super kiddie, like he does with the Spy Kids movies, and then he'll do like something super violent, like Machete or El Mariachi or Desperado, or something like that. And it doesn't feel like any of that here. It feels like just like I wouldn't know that this was directed by him. At least you can bring out that classic, Robert Rodriguez flavor and style, and that's not even here. So it's just kind of dull and forgettable, and a boring kind of sci-fi movie that's going to be lost in the shuffle with a lot of other, kind of sci-fi movies down the line. So for that, I mean, I just kind of give it a skip it. There. I mean, is there anything you liked about the movie? If you want to give your final thoughts and rating.
Some of the cinematography was okay.
Okay.
Like man, I'm kind of with you. This just felt like bits and pieces of other things of other movies I've seen, and usually that doesn't bother me as much. But just the lack of energy and the lack of Robert Rodriguez's actually kind of hurt this movie the more than anything else. The effects are kind of goofy. It doesn't quite know tonally what it wants to be, and so it ends up kind of being a a beige look of a movie. The chemistry between the actors isn't really that great, and it's really forgettable for what it is. It's like it's like part Scanners, part Firestarter, part
Oh yeah, that's another one.
Inception,
Fire.
part Inception, part other movies that you might have seen, and in theory that could really work. It could really be a really dynamic and interesting thriller, but it ultimately doesn't gel. It doesn't quite flow together. And yeah, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say, despite myself, this is a skip it.
Okay, skip it. And I'm not gonna give it a burn it simply because I mean, I don't have any real anger towards the movie or any real vigor to it, like any intense like vigor toward anything like that. I just kind of just go like, it's just whatever. I mean, it's like, I wouldn't even say stream it if it came on streaming because it's like I said, it's like a mismatch. You can just watch those movies there. You can watch Memento, you can watch X-Men, you can watch Inception, and you can watch a good YA movie there. You know what I mean? Like instead of trying to like a Frankenstein cobbled together version of all those movies put into one thing that satisfies. I don't know. Maybe somebody got some enjoyment out of it, but I personally didn't all that much. So yeah, just kind of a skip it for me. Two skip it's for Hypnotic. Also, that name, I don't know. It's not very interesting of a name. Hypnotic, like you're a hypnotic. You know what I mean? It's like, okay. I don't think it's very interesting of a name.
It needed like a John Alvin poster, which can't happen because he died in the early 2000s. Rest his soul. But it needs like an actual like hypnosis thing, and it needed to go all in on that concept. It needed to be like a the Game kind of movie where you don't know whose side is on what, and everyone's kind of. It needs to be like almost like an illusionist kind of movie. Like when I hear Hypnotic, I'm like, oh man, it's gonna be illusions. It's gonna be you can't tell reality from what's going on, and it's gonna be you're on pins and needles the entire time because you don't know who's part of it.
Yeah.
You don't really get that.